up, YouTube? Back again today to talk about some more things from Full Circle that happened over the weekend. I do believe that the other recordings of the watch parties, the BVS watch party, the Q&A panel, I'm not 100% sure about Zack Snyder's Justice League recording, but you can check Vero's Twitter if you follow them on there. They've been posting when the recordings are available if you missed them. I know Man of Steel was available. BVS should be available now as well. For Zack Snyder's Justice League, there was not a watch party. There was only the Q&A panel afterward. So just if you need to be, caught up on that, you can follow them on Twitter or check their YouTube channel, Vero's YouTube channel, to see which ones you might have missed. For the past 2 days, I have posted a couple of videos talking about some of the highlights over the weekend. I want to continue to do that today. Another question that Zack answered that was asked by a fan in the audience. This one, it wasn't a completely new revelation, not as much as like the, Kryptonian ship question, but he kind of expanded on it a little bit. We've heard him talk about this somewhat in the past, not quite as much maybe as other topics because it didn't actually come to fruition or become a movie, but he did expand on it, and that is the question about what would have been the story for Wonder Woman based on the picture that that people like instantly became obsessed with of Wonder Woman in the Crimean War, 1854, with all of these soldiers around. She's holding a couple of, leaders' heads in her hands. This really amazing image. Like, he credits the photographer in the question. The fan, whoever asked the question credits him, and Zack does as well. And to me, it's like, it actually looks like it could have been taken in 1854. Like, it looks like it actually was, this is actually from this time. Like, it's just really incredible what they did with the image. I remember when we first noticed the picture. I just don't remember exactly whose stream. I remember Zack was a guest on someone's, a stream on our podcast. And he was sitting in front of it. And I was like, is that Wonder Woman? We've never seen that before. And of course it became a huge topic of discussion, and Zack talked about it a little bit after that, and he shared it on Twitter. And, people have kind of been a little obsessed with it ever since then, which I don't blame them because it's a really cool picture. A fan asked him to kind of elaborate on his, what would have been the story had they stuck with that for her first movie. Go ahead and see what Zack had to say.
The idea, I don't know if I've talked about this, maybe, I don't know. The idea of it was that in those days, because Diana was searching for the God of War, searching for Ares in the world, she would have gone to, in her sort of quest to find him, she ended up going to all the hot spots where all these conflicts were in the world. And then in those conflicts, looking for Ares, she would come across some amazing warrior on the battlefield that she would say, hey, I'm looking for this God of War. I need, a team to help me. And that was the basic concept behind who all those guys were. And that they saw her on the battlefield, and she was so insanely powerful that they were like, yeah, I guess in service of this goddess, like that, is even more powerful than like the service of my country or whatever I'm doing, whatever political war I'm in. This goddess asking me to join her is like, that's like quite an honor. And so that's why when we see her in Crimea, she's ended up with those cats that are with her from her journey around the world.
So pretty cool, right? Like I said, he had touched on it a little bit. He's talked about it a little bit in the past, but that kind of was like a refresher for me. And he kind of went into a little bit more detail because the question was kind of about like, how did she end up with all of these different soldiers, from different nations in the that we see in the picture? Like, how did she end up with this ethnically diverse group of people? He sort of had some of that element in Wonder Woman, the first movie. It kind of changed. The story kind of changed when Patty Jenkins came on to direct. It was originally a different director, and then she left the project, and Patty Jenkins came in, and they kind of changed the story a little bit. She still had a team. They still had a team element of it, and everyone was kind of unique in their own way and had a different story of their own. So they still kind of kept that aspect of it, but and it was set in a different year, of course, and it was centered on just one war. And in this story that Zack is talking about, it would have been her going to a bunch of different, wars or conflicts around the world to look for Ares. So it still had some of those same beats that we saw in her movie, that what her movie ultimately became, but slightly different in those, some of the details. That picture really depicted her as a pretty, she's holding heads in her hand, which some people took issue with, and some people are like, she looks amazing. I'm not going to get into the debate over that, but she is a warrior, and Amazons are warriors, and they have swords. So, do with that information what you will. But, and not only is she a warrior, she's the Amazon warrior, right? Give us a little bit more backstory on what he had in mind based on, what that picture represented. I think Gal, under his direction, is my favorite in DC as Wonder Woman. I liked her first movie a lot. I think her first movie was really good. First, we saw her in BVS. That was her entrance, right, into the universe. And then we went back in time for her origin story. And I felt like, her first movie, it felt like that's the origin story for the Wonder Woman that we see in BVS in a lot of ways. Then, of course, fast forward to Wonder Woman 84, and it felt completely disjointed and disconnected from that entirely. Maybe not necessarily like how Gal portrays her, which I think her performance was great in that movie. But as far as story, tone, her not having her sword and shield, those things, of course, felt disjointed and disconnected. I'm not going to start going into a rant about that, but since we are kind of talking about Wonder Woman, and then, of course, in Zack Snyder's Justice League, if that's not peak Wonder Woman, then I don't know. She's absolutely amazing in that movie. But I just kind of wanted to share what Zack had to say about that, because I know a lot of people really love that picture. And, if you're wondering a little bit more what the story behind that was, well, Zack elaborated on it for us. So thank you guys for watching. Check out anything you might have missed recently. And, if you want to check out the Vero YouTube channel to see anything you might have missed over the weekend, that as well. And shout out to everyone who supported the live streams over the weekend and, was able to maybe contribute to AFSP. Even if you weren't able to with, donating, you can share the link, share the resources and whatnot. So Zack tweeted about it just before making this video, and he's given, sharing his gratitude to everyone involved and the fans as well for participating and for getting involved with this event. So I'm sure he's really grateful to everyone who was there, the fans around the world for watching, and AFSP and all of that, everyone who was involved. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.